How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com and your favorite co-host over at the Locked On Colts podcast. We are back for a final time with the Draft Debrief series where I break down the Colts 2026 draft class in excruciating detail. Our final player to highlight is Oklahoma wide receiver Deion Burks, a player that was consistently mocked as like a top 100 pick in this draft class that fell all the way to the Colts pick in the 7th round due to some injuries and his lack of production at the college level despite his age. But the Colts luck out. They get a player who played in-state for a little bit at Purdue before transferring to Oklahoma. And I think there's a lot of great traits on film with this young player. I think he has all of the makings to be a very good NFL wide receiver, and it's just on the Colts to help him fulfill his potential here at the next level. But, for some people calling this one of the steals of the draft, I could see it. Like, I think that there is an avenue where he outplays his draft position quite early and ends up being a productive player for the Indianapolis Colts for a long time. So Deion Burks, although I never really bought into the top 100 talk with him, I think like a top 150 pick is where I would have landed on him, like a 4th or 5th round grade. And the Colts getting him in round 7, I think is great value for a team that just needed to add more young talent, more speed to their offense and their defense this offseason. So before we dive into some of the film clips, though, let's dive into a couple of pro comps because that's how we've approached this series thus far. We're not changing it up on the very last one. So I have 2 pro comps that came to mind. One is more so some elements that popped up, and the other one is mostly about the overall play style. So in terms of just some elements that kind of came to mind, I think Mecole Hardman, player who obviously won some Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs, known for his speed and his explosion, his ability to play inside and out. I think he reminds me a little bit of Mecole Hardman, not in like the biggest way, but I think there are some similarities to Mecole Hardman there on film. But the biggest one that really popped out to me is Zay Flowers, the wide receiver from the Baltimore Ravens. Now, it would take a pretty big jump for Deion Burks to be as good an NFL player as Zay Flowers, but in terms of being a smaller player that plays with much more strength and consistency than what his size really necessitates, if you can play more on the outside than more on the slot, I think that he reminds me so much of Zay Flowers. And if he can stay healthy, I think that there is an avenue for him to be a productive outside receiver like Flowers has been thus far in the NFL. So, I do see a lot of Zay Flowers in this game, and I've always been a very, very big fan of Zay Flowers. But without further ado, now that the pro comps are out of the way, let's dive into the film for the final time, our final draft debrief of the 2026 season for the Indianapolis Colts, wide receiver Deion Burks out of Oklahoma. So I wanted to start this video by talking about why I view wide receiver Deion Burks as more as an outside receiver rather than a slot receiver. Because I think a lot of times when we evaluate these players, we see the size of a player and we say, oh, he's 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", whatever it is, 180 pounds, he's a slot receiver in the NFL. When I think it's a much more nuanced conversation there, you have to really look at the skill sets that players provide and if they can actually operate on the exterior versus on the interior. And when it comes to Deion Burks, I think he checks a lot of the boxes of what I am looking for of an outside wide receiver. First box I look for to be checked is, can he beat press coverage? And everything I've seen from him, I think he can beat press coverage. I don't really see any reason to be concerned with him against press coverage. Now, for the Colts, if he were to be an outside receiver, he would be the Z wide receiver, which is the guy that's typically off the line of scrimmage. But at Oklahoma, he did have to play against some press man coverage getting up in his face a couple times. And I don't think we ever saw any big issues with it. Here actually is a very, very clean ability to beat press coverage in the red zone. Here we see him just stand up his man, good quick feet, and then as the corner extends that inside hand to try to disrupt and create contact, he's able to slip around it pretty seamlessly, get upfield, and beat his guy to the spot to the end zone. It really is just a bad throw here from Mateer that takes away a touchdown opportunity for Burks, but I think it's a pretty clean rep, really good ability to beat press coverage. I know there's not a ton of it on film, and that's just kind of the overarching story of Deion Burks in college. You just don't have a ton of everything on film. But I think every time I saw him go against press coverage, you could see the quickness, you could see the feet, you could see the feel. There's no reason to think he can't beat press coverage on the outside despite his smaller frame and his smaller stature. You also got plays like this where it's like, can you beat guys across their face? Can you win to the first down marker? And here on this play, we're going to get this off-man coverage here from Texas versus Oklahoma, and we're trying to get the 5 yards needed for the first down, right? So first down here is at the 40-yard line, and Deion Burks is trying to cross the face of his defender and get to that first down marker over the middle of the field. And he runs a really crisp route right here, right? So he's not going to shuffle too much and come across the face of the defender. What we see here is a really quick speed turn from him. He's just going to quickly establish position. He's going to win inside with a quick hitch, and he's able to get that first down marker here. So watch his feet here. Watch just how quick he's able to turn the corner, get that first down, extend from his body and make that catch. Really clean reception, and again, playing from the outside, winning over the middle of the field, and beating his guy one-on-one. I think we see that ability in his film. So again, there's nothing right here that says he can't play on the outside. Another play here where we're going to see him just work back to the football. His contested catch rate was actually extremely good last year for Oklahoma. He just didn't have a ton of contested catch opportunities, obviously, because again, the name of the game with Deion Burks, but every opportunity he had to make contested catches, we saw him operate at a really high level. So here, he's going to work the hitch on the backside of the play, backside of the 3x1, work that hitch. Doesn't create a ton of separation because the corner is kind of sitting on this hitch route, but even with that happening, he's able to fight through the contact, fight through the cornerback's hands, getting in between ball and his own hands, and he's able to make that catch on the play and keep the offense moving. So you get the contested catch, you get the ability to beat press coverage, you get him being able to cross the guy's face and win over the middle of the field. You get all of those aspects from him, but just because he's smaller, we want to put him in the slot. When receiver conversation with him, if you look at his most productive seasons at the college level, he was an outside receiver for both of them. Both his years, his 2023 at Purdue and his 2025 at Oklahoma, he played almost all of his snaps at outside wide receiver and had over 600 yards in both of those seasons. If you look at his not productive years, that were the years they tried to put him in the slot at both of those schools. So he's always been a very productive outside receiver at the college level. There's nothing about his traits or his film that says that he needs to move inside, and I firmly believe that he is a Z receiver at the NFL level. So again, I know we look at the size, I know we look at the profile, and we say, oh, okay, he's short, he's not a ton of weight, like that's a guy that you put in the slot, but I certainly think Deion Burks can play outside wide receiver for the Colts, and I think he's going to factor in to that Z wide receiver conversation at some point in the 2026 season. Deion Burks' explosiveness and his ability to accelerate up to top speed in a hurry is probably the most tantalizing aspect of his game. You know, I don't see a lot of the T.Y. Hilton comps that I've seen thrown around from Colts fans and Colts analysts alike, but this is the area of Deion Burks' game that I do see a lot of T.Y. Hilton, where that ability to throttle down and immediately pick up back up to top speed, I think it's very, very rare. It's so weird to see a player like move like this. And like when you watch this first play against Michigan here, you will see T.Y. Hilton with this play. This is the one play where I was like, okay, I kind of see it a little bit just because of this one aspect on this one play against Michigan. But yeah, this double move against the outside corner who's just stuck on an island here. You know, I understand what the corner is doing here because Michigan's going to bring a 5-man pressure, and also the ball is on the own 3-yard line. So you're expecting this ball to come out quick. We're going to see the corner make a play on the double move and try to jump the underneath route. But Deion Burks is just so quick and so fast when he gets back up to the top speed. But just watch the movement ability here from Deion Burks and try not to get excited. So he gets up here to the top of his break, throttles down, right? Throttles down, gets his hips low, stops his momentum completely, gets that corner breaking down to the outside, thinking this is going to be a comeback, thinking this is going to be an outbreaking type route, maybe a deep hitch, and then he picks up that top speed right again. And he's able to create that separation on the vertical plane because of that explosion, because of that acceleration out of his break. I know double moves are kind of a cheap way to just like farm highlights essentially for wide receivers, so I try not to involve a lot of double moves on my breakdowns, but purely looking at the movement ability here, looking at the ability to throttle those hips down and then break vertical again and create that easy separation. It's easy to fall in love with that kind of play right there. I mean, just look at how quick he's able to get back up to top speed. That is some special stuff. And then you get the toe drag swag on the end, on the sideline there as well. Really nice stuff from Deion Burks. But you even see it in some other clips as well. I think you can see some of the explosion Here against Ole Miss, we're going to see him working a comeback on the bottom of the screen. And, this is kind of covered pretty well by the outside corner, right? Outside corner has hands on him, is in good position to where if this breaks vertical, he's going to be on top of that route. And he's even in a good position to break down on the comeback route. But as we see Deion Burks, he's getting held a little bit here at the top of the route, break back towards the sideline at the end of this route, you can see the explosion and how he creates this quick separation. So let me play the whole clip and show you just a little bit of separation he creates around the sideline because of that explosion out of his break. Boom, boom, and then he's already creating about 2 yards of separation because of that explosion out of his break. So I know it's not like as great a highlight reel as the first one, but just look at that quick separation he creates from that comeback route, getting back to the sideline, feet inbounds, big time catch for Oklahoma. So that explosion in and out of his breaks is so vital for a wide receiver to create separation in the NFL, and he certainly has that quick twitch, that acceleration that you're looking for. And then one more play here I thought was just a really underrated play. I just wish he was targeted on it. We're going to get the 3-by-1, so he's going to be on the backside. He's going to be running a deeper dig route. So with this dig route, he's going to break inside and just cut him across the middle of the field and be a backside option for John Mateer. I think, look, I can't remember this play exactly, but I can almost guarantee if it's Oklahoma, it's going to be a slot fade, and we're going to get like a hitch and maybe like a little drag or a hitch right here, because this is what they ran all the time. Gosh, I'm so tired of watching Oklahoma, but they ran this like 24/7. I can almost guarantee this is what this call is going to be. But Burks is going to run this backside dig, and he's going to get open here. Watch how he separates at the top of this route with the backside dig, right? So he beats the press coverage across the middle, across the face of the corner, right? Steps on the defender's toes, comes across the middle of the field, explodes out of that break, and he's got that very clean separation that you're looking for. And I think that would have been a great target to throw to that backside dig. Just beats that corner cleanly across his face against man coverage. And he's wide open on that backside dig. But lo and behold, I guess they're running the slot fade with the curls up there. Like, they always run. That's just Oklahoma's offense in a nutshell. But yeah, I mean, look, Deion Burks, again, it's so much of its projection because he just didn't run like this stuff all the time. You didn't get to see his explosion on display, but when you got to see it, it was just so impressive. Like plays like this where just he's able to get up to top speed is so impressive. But also the nuance in routes like this where he can create that separation at the top of his comeback and win to the sideline and make that play along the sideline. Even the one where he's not targeted to close out these clips here where it's such a clean dig route. Like this is a very, very clean dig route where he steps on the defender's toes, gets up vertical, and then straightens up down the line and creates a good 2 to 3 yards of separation. I think there are a lot of tantalizing traits when it comes to Deion Burks as a wide receiver, and his explosion, his acceleration, his ability to get up to top speed. I understand why people fell in love with him in the pre-draft process and how he got some of that top 100 buzz for some folks. Deion Burks was an excellent wide receiver after the catch last year when he had opportunities to perform after the catch at Oklahoma. So we're going to see here on a couple clips, whether it's a jet sweep, a quick screen, or even a play down the field, he's able to create extra yards after the catch and sometimes turn them into big time gains and touchdowns for his offense. So here against Michigan, we're going to see a little bit of a jet sweep here in the red zone, and no one's there able to touch his speed and his explosion. Really good penetration here by Michigan at the point of attack. They're able to almost corral him here in the backfield, but he's able to stay on his path, follow his blocker, explode through the gap here, and beat everybody in the race to the sideline and get into the end zone. Here we're going to get a quick hitch on the 3-by-1. He's playing a little bit of that slot wide receiver that people love to put him at. And here he just gets a little bit of separation from that off-man coverage safety here from Texas. And as he catches the football, he turns upfield with good quickness, makes that guy miss at the catch point, and he's able to create an extra 15 yards on this play as well. Here against LSU, Oklahoma's offense was an absolute disaster all game long. If you guys want to see how bad it was, go back and watch my AJ Halsey video, my draft debrief with AJ Halsey, where, LSU's defense was dominating this entire game. But Oklahoma was able to come back late because of this play here. They throw the quick bubble screen to Deion Burks. They get really lucky on this play, or I guess I shouldn't call it luck. Maybe this is what they intended all along. But they catch LSU in a blitz. They're bringing all these guys here trying to get that pressure on the quarterback. They throw the tunnel screen here to Deion Burks, and it's really just like the 2 defenders left trying to tackle him with a convoy of defenders in front. But what we see with Burks, again, like even though this is kind of a relatively like easy conversion after the catch, he just has that acceleration and that speed to where he turns on the burners and no one's catching him. Right. I know at the very end, like they get a little bit of the toe tap here, but he's gone. He's able to pull away for that touchdown and was a big part of why Oklahoma was able to win that game. Deion Burks, again, didn't get a lot of opportunities at Oklahoma, which is the name of the game when it comes to his overall film. It's like all flash and just no like complete substance with him. But the flashes we see are of a guy that can create after the catch, a guy that can make contested catches, a guy that can be a major asset for your offense. So there's a lot to like with Deion. Just how can we turn these flashes into more consistency? Can we get him more involved in an NFL offense? I think those are the questions that the Colts are going to have to ask themselves. But if you just look at the positives on his film, you just look at what he can do, he can kind of do it all, right? Like there's really nothing about his film that says he can't do anything. It's just, can he do it more consistently, and can he do it at like with more volume coming his way at the NFL level? So yeah, with Deion Burks, the ultimate question is how much can he do in the NFL? Because all the traits are really there. All the aspects of his game that you want out of an outside wide receiver are there. It's just how involved can we get him at the NFL level? But really fun film. I think that it had the potential to be even better if Oklahoma wasn't a disaster on offense for like over half of the season. But Deion Burks, I think, has all the traits to be a very good NFL wide receiver. Deion Burks is a very interesting wide receiver to try to compile some negatives or some areas of improvement in his game, because I think a lot of the reasons why he slipped so late in the draft, one is just a lack of production at the college level, didn't consistently get the football, even though he performed when he did get the ball, just never consistently got it at Purdue or at Oklahoma. And also there were some injury issues that did limit him from fully taking off and fully exploding and being the receiver that he was fully expected to be. So a lot of like the negatives in his game are just unrealized potential, like not taking that final step. It has really nothing to do with his overall play. Like I think his play is very consistent, very solid. Even the drop rate that you see that was very high early on in his college level seemed to even out this past year, where he only had one drop across his most productive season in college. So with Burks, it's kind of hard to compile some negative videos. But I do think that one issue that I had with him on film came down to some of his transitions on like these deep curls and deep hitches, coming back to the football. I think you can see a little bit of stiffness. You can see some wasted movement from him, and you would like to see him be a little bit cleaner and crisper on these routes. So here against Michigan, we're going to see him try to work to the sticks. We're going to see a little hesitation here to try to get the corner to commit a little bit early. The corner doesn't really bite on it, so then it's all down to his speed turn on his curl here, and he's just not quick enough. A lot of wasted steps. Takes him like a good 6, 7, 8 steps to really throttle down, and from there the corner is able to hang in his back pocket, come across, and make a play on that football. Here against Tennessee, it's not the cleanest rep overall just in general, because it's just a mess, this Oklahoma communication. Burks is late off the football, but here we see him working up the top of his route. You would ideally like to see him just be able to throttle down right there, no wasted movement, and get his head back to the quarterback, but he does take a couple extra steps to really get his momentum stopped, and from there it takes away that quick option at the sticks, and it ends up having to come all the way back to the football. I think this is a penalty on Oklahoma on that play anyway as well. And then one more against Missouri as well. We see him trying to work into that vacant space in the zone defense and just throttle down and stop his momentum, but just a few too many wasted steps here that allow the corner to come back to the football and get on top of it. It just takes him a little bit too much to really throttle down. You want to see a bit more of a speed turn here from him, a speed cut here, and unfortunately it's just a little bit too many steps. But yeah, overall, I think that's really all I had on film. I think the catch radius is pretty good for a smaller receiver. I think the creation after the catch is really good. I think he can play outside at a high level. I mean, inside, it's a little bit hit or miss, but I don't expect him to be an inside receiver for the Colts. Blocking, I think, is fine for a guy of his size. It's probably better than like a Josh Downs in blocking as well. So I don't have too many negatives on film with him. It's really just about staying healthy and staying productive, staying consistently part of the offense. But I think Deion Burks brings a lot to the table for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm really intrigued for a 7th-round wide receiver. As long as just, again, the health checks out throughout all of training camp and he's able to consistently make strides with the offense, I think there's going to be a role for him in 2026. I think at least as like a gadget type player, but I think they can also use him down the field with his speed and his explosion to really threaten defenses. So Deion Burks, I'm a big fan of his game. I think that there was a lot of untapped potential at Oklahoma, and it's on the Colts now to really bring out that potential and showcase what he can do at the NFL level. But yeah, Deion Burks, I came away really impressed with this film, and I think he can be a really solid NFL player in the right situation and if he can stay healthy.